The NDP's last member of parliament from Quebec, Alexandre Boulerice, is leaving federal politics to run for a provincial seat. This departure will leave the party with only 5 MPs after Nunavut MP Laurie Idlau crossed the floor to the government earlier this year. Newly minted NDP leader Avi Lewis said Boulerice's departure was anticipated.
This is not a surprise. I'm not fazed. And we're excited to continue to build the NDP in Quebec. It's clear that this decision has been a long time in coming, and you know, we were ready.
For more on this decision and what this means for the federal NDP writ large, I'm joined now by Alexandre Boulerice. Mr. Boulerice, it's good to see you, sir. Thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, my pleasure. No problem, David.
We've been hearing about this for a while now. You've been asked about this for a while now, making this move. Well, what finally sealed the decision for you to make this jump to Quebec Solidaire?
You know, I think that after 15 years, you know, at the federal level and 5 wins at the elections, I was ready to go to other challenges and maybe another career. It was not sure at the beginning it's going to be provincial politics with Quebec Solidaire, but after a number of discussions with Rouba Gazal, you know, the female spokesperson for the party, it was quite, you know, I'm at my place. I'm going to continue, you know, the fights for working class. I'm going to continue to fight against poverty and inequalities, but at a different level now.
Avi Lewis said that he and every other member of the caucus and other members of the party tried to convince you to stay with the federal NDP. Why weren't they able to change your mind?
You know, the fact that I was going to leave federal politics was already there way before the election of Avi Lewis, so it's not a judgment on him or his leadership. I think he's great with a great vision for the left and the progressive people in this country. But for me, it was time to change. And you know, the fact that I can continue to represent the people of the riding at the federal level now at the provincial level, it was something important to me because I want to continue to work with them, but on different issues. Now it's going to be much more about schools and public transit, but in hospitals. There's a lot of challenges in Quebec and things we need to fix things after 8 years of disastrous CAQ government at the provincial level.
Well, Mr. Boulerice, after running for the federal NDP in Quebec and now making the jump to Quebec Solidaire, I don't think anyone can accuse you of being a front-runner. I think that's safe to say. I mean, what's your sense of this upcoming election, right? Because the PQ has had a commanding lead for quite some time. The Liberals have rebounded a bit. Where do you see your party fitting into this race?
I think we need strong, you know, left-wing, progressive voices in all parliaments, in Ottawa and in Quebec also. So I think it's going to be my job to bring my experience, my energy, my knowledge also of Montreal and the riding, and to build a movement that makes sure that we elect as much as possible Solidaire in the National Assembly. And I think that if you look at the shift at you know, Quebec politics, it's going much more to the right with the Conservatives, with the CAQ, with the Parti Québécois. So I think that it's going to be our job to say, you know, we need different voices to defend not only middle class, but also to fight inequalities in Quebec and to repair public services who have been scrapped by François Legault and his team.
Look, when it comes to public services, social values, progressivism, environmental policy, it's clear to see the ideological fit for someone like you, because you've championed those causes at the national level. But Quebec Solidaire is also a sovereigntist party. It believes in a separate, independent Quebec. I mean, is that part of your motivation in going there? Do you want an independent Quebec to separate from Canada? And would you support a PQ referendum if that's where they decide to go with it, should they win the election?
I'm not there to support the PQ in any way, but it's true that it was easy to work within the NDP because the recognition of the Quebec nation, the fact that the future of Quebec will be decided by Quebecers, and it was the offer of Jack Layton to work together, the progressive all across Canada, to build a better society, and I joined that and I gave 15 years of my life for that. But I think also that, you know, I realized being in Ottawa, all the advantages to be a state a real state with all the tools. It's much easier on different levels. It's less complicated, less negotiations, and you can go a little bit faster. And it's also because I'm, at the bottom of my heart, I'm a Quebecer, and I love Quebec and the Quebec culture profoundly.
Right. So, but I wonder then, why did you spend years in the federal NDP? I know the Sherbrooke Declaration said it was up to Quebecers to decide this. I mean, the Bloc Québécois was right there. They are not regressive when it comes to social policies and equality. There's an alignment there with a lot of the things you talk about. A lot of people who may not remember the Orange Wave in 2011 and the fine print of the Sherbrooke Declaration might be surprised to see a well-known member of the NDP expressing his support for sovereignty.
Maybe outside Quebec it's a little bit of a surprise, but for a lot of Quebecers, who voted massively for Jack Layton, 15 years ago, a lot of them were sovereignists because he was able to open the space to create the fact that everybody was included. It was also at that time, the fact that we wanted to fight against the Stephen Harper Conservatives and their, really regressive positions. And the Bloc Québécois is not there to make things work. That's the big problem about the Bloc. You sit there and you just want everything to fail. I wanted to do politics in a much more constructive way, to try to help people for real. If you're not there to help people, I don't know what you're doing.
So how are you going to make things work now? Because you say you're going to sit as an independent until you resign your seat. The Quebec election is not scheduled to happen until October. Does that mean you're going to sit as an independent to be campaigning between now and then? Will you be in Ottawa? Will you be voting? Will you be in Parliament?
There will be some votes tonight. I will be voting. We are already considered as independent by the House of Commons because we don't have the status of an official party. So I know in advance when my questions will be. So Thursday I will be in Ottawa to ask a question. Next week I will be in Ottawa 5 days to continue to ask questions to the Carney government and to ask them what they are doing to help people for real. So I will continue my job and also represent the people of Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie with scrums, with press conferences, etc., petitions to table them. So I have a mandate. I will continue to work as an independent and until the launch of the election in Quebec.
Okay, so because people may look at this and say he's out campaigning for another job while drawing a full MP salary, and the party he's running for is sovereigntist. I mean, you can see the avenue for criticism. So what do you say to people who may look at this, that if he's going to resign to run for another job, he should just resign and go seek that other job?
Just look at me. I will continue to do my job as a member of Parliament with all the legitimacy, and being able to sit as an independent is within the rules of the House of Commons and the Parliament. So I will be full-time, representing people of Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie, and outside that, I'm putting myself for more job to do. I will work for the nomination of Québec Solidaire.
Just one last question. A lot of people have looked at your continued success after the breakthrough in 2011 as you're the last New Democrat standing from Quebec in the House of Commons. A lot of people look at your riding and say this is a Boulerice seat rather than an NDP seat. Do you think your federal party can hold on to this in the upcoming by-election, or does this become a Liberal bloc battle potentially?
I'm hopeful. A lot of people in Quebec, are leaning to the left, are progressive. Social justice is important for a lot of people in the riding I represent. And I think that with the leadership of Avi Lewis and the clear vision, inspired by the mayor of New York, Mr. Mamdani, to offer something different, a real alternative to Quebecers, I'm quite confident the NDP will have good days in Quebec again.
But Laurier leaves, you leave to see, she left entirely, you're leaving for another opportunity. I mean, just how much trouble is the federal NDP in? Because it's at a low watermark from what I can remember, and the path back is not at all clear.
But with the Carney government, with Liberals looking much more now with like the Conservatives, I think it opened real space for progressive people, left-wing people, or center-left, and it's an avenue that I'm quite sure the team of Avi Lewis and all the people in the movement in Canada will take and bring back success to the NDP.
Alexandre Boulerice, we appreciate your time and good luck in the campaigns ahead, sir. Thanks for being here today.
No problem. Thank you.